You ever walk into a room and realize nobody's really looking at you? Like you're just part of the scenery, maybe a chair, maybe a coat rack, whatever. That was my life at Halberton Tower. I mean, I wore the uniform, pushed the mop, and became an expert in the art of not being seen. But let me tell you, sometimes being invisible is the best vantage point in the world. You hear things. You learn who's nervous and who's faking it, who respects you and who just pretends. You learn to notice everything, even the things people try to hide. Night after night, I cleaned the same marble floors under those cold fluorescent lights. I had an Oxford education, almost tucked somewhere behind my maintenance badge, and a knack for languages most folks didn't care to ask about. It wasn't my plan to end up in a blue jumpsuit in Manhattan, you know? But life, it throws curveballs. My parents died young. My brother Jordan needed help, so my dreams waited. That's what you do for family. And you keep going. One night, the boardroom door was cracked open, voices spilling out. Something big was happening. I slowed down, kept my head down, eavesdropping while scrubbing. Saudi billionaire, a merger that could change the whole company, and everyone talking about translation apps and impeccable presentations. I had to smile. These were the folks who'd never remember my name, but they were terrified of one mispronounced word. The irony, right? A few hours later, I dragged myself home to a tiny Brooklyn apartment, nothing fancy, but it was ours. Jordan, my little brother, was hunched over bills. Student loans, endless. He dropped out after an accident, and I picked up extra shifts and side gigs translating pamphlets just to keep us afloat. He never knew how much I missed being at Oxford, diving into poetry, exploring language. I still read Arabic every night, the script running through my hands like a river, just to remind myself who I was underneath the uniform. Next day at work, and the closest thing I had to a friend cracked a joke about executives always leaving messes, especially that marketing VP, Marina, who dropped her coffee cup for someone else to clean up. Anna said I was too smart for this place, catching me reading Arabic poetry in the locker room. I just shrugged. We were all just paying bills. But she was right, and I knew it. Later, everyone got called to the marble lobby for a speech by the CEO, Walter. He talked about the Saudi deal like it was the Olympics, hyping up the coming visit. Not once did he look at the cleaning staff, even though his everything spotless speech was basically for us. The only person who ever gave me a nod was Brian from IT. He said they were sweating over the translator agency, still hadn't confirmed. I filed that away. That night, I dreamed of Oxford honey-colored stone, ancient books, professors who'd believed in me. Then, as dreams do, it twisted Jordan in a hospital bed, my scholarship letter turning into medical bills, then into a mop. Woke up with my heart pounding. But that's life. Sometimes you put yourself on pause for the people you love. The day the Saudi Tycoon arrived, Halberton Tower was chaos. Flowers, catering, security everywhere. And then I overheard Marina cursing a translator had called in sick. They'd be relying on translation apps and their own Harvard-level English. It was almost funny watching panic under the surface. As Khaled Al-Sahimtal tailored every inch the billionaire walked in, I was just another shadow by the wall, mop in hand. The meeting started okay, then crashed when the translation app butchered Khaled's rapid-fire Arabic. It was bad. Executives shifted in their seats, trying to play it cool, but the vibe was all wrong. That's when I heard Khaled, in flawless Arabic, say to his advisor, "They see the money, but not the mind behind it." The app translated it as, "The money and mind work together." I felt a flush if they actually understood. It would have been insulting. Then Khaled did something bold, spoke a long, complex paragraph in Arabic, formal, elegant, almost a challenge. No one moved. Marina jabbed at her phone, desperate. And before I knew it, I stepped forward, my voice quiet but steady, answering in Arabic, summarizing his meaning and returning his respect, showing I understood more than just words. The whole room froze. Khaled smiled a real smile, not a business smile. He asked about my background, and I replied honestly, explaining my studies, my passion for language and culture. The CEO, Walter, stood there, caught between shock and calculation. Khaled asked me to interpret for the rest of the meeting. Marina was furious, but Walter had no choice. He needed the deal. So there I was, sitting at the boardroom table in my janitor's uniform, translating high-stakes negotiations. Not just the words, but the cultural layers, the unspoken signals. For the first time in years, I was seen for what I could do, not just the job I held. The meeting ended with a handshake and Khaled thanking me, calling my work invaluable. The next morning, a car waited outside my building. Khaled wanted me as his interpreter for round 2. Problem: all I had to wear were jeans and a cleaning uniform. Jordan wanted to use our emergency fund to buy me something decent, but I called Anna. Her sister Maria fixed up a navy dress that fit me like it was made for the occasion. Back at Halberton, everything had changed. Some people welcomed me. Others bristled, especially Marina, who tried to trip me up with snide comments. The morning went smoothly. But during a break, Marina cornered me, all fake smiles. "This is temporary," she hissed. "You're only here because you're a novelty. Things will go back to normal." She had something else, details about my Oxford withdrawal she must have dug up. For a minute, I felt like that invisible janitor again. But then Khaled made an announcement, offered me a grant through his foundation, enough to clear Jordan's debts and let me finish my degree. Walter tried to lure me into a cushy liaison role, but it was all show no real influence, just a face for diversity. He let me know, subtly, that my decision would affect the whole company. Khaled countered his grant was mine, no strings. Meanwhile, Marina made her move. She used a recording of me, twisted out of context, to accuse me of conflicts of interest in front of HR. Khaled walked in and shut it down with the kind of authority only a billionaire can muster. After that, Walter offered me a choice between his leash and Khaled's opportunity. It was clear where the real power lay. I went home, talked it out with Jordan, who finally admitted how much my sacrifices had weighed on him. We realized it was time for both of us to stop hiding and start living. Next morning, I walked into Walter's office in that navy dress, held my head high, and turned him down flat. I'd accepted the global cultural strategy role at Khaled's foundation. When word spread, the company buzzed with rumors. Marina couldn't hide her anger, but I was done with invisibility. Before I left, I made sure the fellowship program I'd helped launch would open doors for every overlooked employee, janitors first. 3 months later, I was thriving, directing international strategy, helping launch initiatives that actually changed lives. My story started popping up in business schools and magazines, not because I played it safe, but because I'd spoken up. Sure, not everyone was happy about it. Sabotage, rumors, you name it, but each challenge was another test, another chance to prove that talent can come from anywhere. I learned to wield power the right way: justice, not revenge. When Brian from IT confessed that Marina had blackmailed him into sabotaging me, I let him make it right and used the evidence not to destroy her, but to outlast her. I wanted the fellowship to outlive both of us, to keep the door open for the next person who just needed a chance. A year later, I returned to Halberton as keynote speaker. The room was full of people from every rung of the ladder: executives, maintenance, security, assistants. I spoke in Arabic, then English, reminding them all, don't wait to be seen, speak up first. The applause started with the cleaning staff and spread to everyone. Khaled later announced he was stepping down, and I'd be leading the foundation. My brother's coding nonprofit was thriving, and we both knew the journey that began with a mop and a dream had become something bigger than both of us. If you take anything from my story, let it be this: talent hides everywhere, even in people you walk past every day. Question who you overlook and why. The world doesn't change until someone dares to speak up. So, what invisible voices are you missing right now? Let's talk about it. Drop your thoughts below. And if this hit home, you know what to do.